Chapter 6. A Girl and Her Vanity. The after-dusk drive home didn't do much for the vast array of thoughts about her day. The mood had promptly flipped a 180, so she had little choice but to pull out the big guns. Maisie Starr replaced the Pearl Jam CD in the stereo, and she wallowed in the airy drones of the melancholy lyrics, distracting herself. Arriving at her childhood home, she hesitated in the driver's seat, knowing all too well what it meant if the music stopped. For 20 minutes, she stared through the bug-riddled windshield, focusing on nothing in particular. A solemn pit had formed in her stomach, clashing in vivid contrast with the fluttering in her chest. God, she was so confused, yet hopeful, but worried. This is why we stay inside, Zella. The porch light flickered off and on. Great. Her dad knew she was home. Reluctantly, she swung the door open and made her way into the house. Dad, I'm home. Sorry I'm late, she said, tossing her keys onto the hall table and hanging her tote. The soft glows of the incandescent bulbs lit the hallway leading to the living room. Pictures from their adventures lined the walls, some of a dig in Cairo, others from Malaysia and South America. She stopped and smiled at the last one, an excavation on an early Celtic settlement he'd been a part of when she was still in high school. He looked so young then, despite it only being 15 years ago. I miss this, she said, getting his attention as he lounged in his recliner with a book on the land of Kim. Well, that makes two of us, my dear. You know, I'd trade all the trinkets, artifacts, and published papers to do it with you all over again. In her state, the words hit different, and she wasn't ready. Tears seeped to the surface. Aw, Dad. She crossed the room, drawing a creak from the old wide plank floor. Kneeling next to him, she rested her arm on his shoulder. You're absolutely the best father any girl could want. I owe you everything. She gave him a big kiss on the cheek. I love you, old man. They both shared a grin at her tease. So, how did it go with the boy? He asked, eyes still skimming his book. What do you mean? Her eyes went wide and she stood up. You did this on purpose. She paced behind the coffee table, watching him like a hawk. You make deliveries all the time, Z. I'm not sure I follow. His eyes met hers. A minuscule smirk reached the corner of his mouth. Dad, I can tell you're lying. Well, maybe not lying, but you're definitely omitting facts. She pointed at him as the guilty verdict was delivered. Calm down, my dear. All I did was give you a gentle nudge. Gentle nudge? She mocked, air quotes. You intentionally swapped the contents of the envelope and gave vague directions. Also, you could... Go on. What exactly did I do? He continued to methodically rock in his chair, but turned the book face down at the accusation, giving her his full attention. You know exactly what you did. Oh, do enlighten me then. I'll wait. You're... She didn't have the nerve to even say it aloud. Doing so would give credence to the multitude of mixed thoughts she'd had. But not saying anything would be even worse. The old man trapped her. Well played, Dad. Sighing, she plopped down on the couch, throwing her feet onto the coffee table. You're welcome, honey. He smiled and tried to return to his book, but his smugness gnawed at her. Oh, isn't that nice? I'm not going to tell you thank you for butting into my personal life. You know, most fathers fight to keep obstinate dirt-cake boys away from their daughters, but not you. No, instead, you revel in playing some sort of sadistic Cupid, pulling me into the middle of some stranger's family affair. I hope you're proud of yourself, Professor. Her blood boiled, but only she knew it wasn't entirely from anger. This isn't how she saw her Thursday going. See? Doesn't it feel better to get it all out? Ugh, you're incorrigible. She slapped the cushions. So, how did it go with Mr. Douglas? There was a lot of ranting and raving, but you never answered my question. I'm not going to do this with you, Dad. Not now, not ever. She stood in beeline for her room. Out of the corner of her eye, her dad's smirk spread into a smile, locked on the book. Damn him for pulling her strings. It was times like this she was reminded just how intelligent and calculating the man could be. But the final say would be hers, at least. Sort of. She shut her door with passion, not slammed, but with enough oomph to deliver her message. Restless, she peeled off her cardigan, tossing it onto the pile of laundry on her English sitting chair. For a lack of better options, Zella fell face first onto her bed, content to suffer at the hands of her mind's machinations. What had gotten into him? It's as if, all of a sudden, he took joy in lighting a fire under her. First, the spread your wings talk this afternoon, and now he's trying his hand at tricking her into interacting with that guy. So what if they were around the same age and from the same small town? Apparently all her dad required for her was any man with a pulse. They had nothing in common, though his taste in homes and landscaping weren't too bad. But still, he wasn't terrible to look at. That is, if a heathen with a military tattoo, rough hands, and 4 days without a shave were even her type. Enough, Zella. No, she was an academic at home with her face in a book, or discovering some newfangled piece of pottery in a burial mound somewhere halfway around the world. That's where she belonged, not making eyes at, Mr. Douglas. She rolled over, covering her face with a pillow. Ah! Her muted scream helped, but it wasn't enough. Heaving a sigh, she sat up, her hair now a mess of epic proportions. The silence only left room for more internal wandering, so Zella snatched the remote and hit play. Stone Temple Pilots filled the room with the interstate love song, soothing her nerves almost immediately. Content for the moment, she ran her hands through the rat's nest on her head. Damn it, she said to herself, stuck in a section of knots. She bellowed a sigh, knowing the real damage happened when she hastily threw it up with the clip in the car. Smooth one, Zella. She hummed along with the angsty rock music, situating herself at her favorite antique, a 1780s vanity that belonged to the Queen of France. The matching chair might have been only a well-made reproduction, but only she and her father could ever spot the difference. Laid out before her were the instruments of her doom, 3 vintage hairbrushes, each with their own fine details and spacing. Days like today she wondered why she even bothered to keep her mane so long and unruly. Oh, how easy it would be to just chop it all off and get to miss the half an hour spent at this vanity each night. Staring at her odd appearance in the mirror, she offered herself a feigned smile, but it didn't help. Picking up the wide-toothed comb, she methodically worked knot after knot, following it with her traditional brush. Before too long, she resembled a sight she could withstand. Mediocre at best, but less than a mess. Not terrible, Zella, but your freckles make you look like a tomboy. Turning her head side to side, she examined her profile. Where her once deeply tanned skin used to be, only pale porcelain resided. It probably didn't help that she didn't wear much makeup, save some foundation from time to time. A touch of sadness filled her, thinking about what her dad's intentions were. He wanted her to live, to enjoy life, find a partner, but this is what she had to work with these days. What guy would want such a plain woman, uninterested in the typical societal beauty rituals? It's not that she never had male attention in the past, even with several boyfriends in school, but that was then, and this was now. Noticing the gray of her lips, she reached for the lipstick her mom sent for Christmas a few years back. Zella twisted the cap, extending the seductive red out of the tube, but stopped just shy of applying it. No, she wasn't suited for such things, nor did she imagine she deserved it. The subtle twist of loneliness shifted in her chest, nearly triggering more waterworks. A gentle knock at the door interrupted the impending deluge. Not now, Dad. He entered the room partially anyway, but remained blocked from view by the door. Z, I know you don't understand why I did what I did, but I promise, it will make sense, eventually. Dad, just let me finish. Then you can go back to resenting your old man in peace, okay? When she didn't respond, he took it as his cue to continue. I've made tons of mistakes in life, losing your mother among them. I spent my entire life chasing ghosts and shiny things, leaving the world behind. I forgot that passions were just as important at home as they were in a career. Regrets, my dear, I have many, but being your dad isn't one of them. She stared at the open door through the mirror. The rain had returned, pouring down her cheeks. You and I are a lot alike in a lot of ways, but in others we are polar opposites. I fear you may have been cursed with my genes. My sin was too much time out there, and yours, Z, may be too much time tucked away. Please forgive my meddling, but if it takes you being upset with your old man for a while to reignite the spark I know you have, then so be it. You're far too precious a gem to not be seen by the world. Oh, God. He's done it again. Spitting truth like a Bedouin's camel. Why does he have to be right? Thanks, Dad. I know you mean well. You're welcome, my dear. But, so you know, when he comes in tomorrow, try a little harder not to push him out of the door. You never know. And with that, he left, closing the door behind him. Wait, how did you know he was... Too late. The tender moment was tarnished by yet another of his timely revelations. Oh, never mind. She glanced at the mirror and then to the flamboyant lipstick. With an authentic smile, she brought it to her lips. Chapter 7. The Fortress of Solitude. Stop! Eric's own scream ripped him from the dream. Panting, covered in sweat, his torso shot off the mattress. Oh shit, 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 shit. Not real. It's just a dream, Erik. He was just there, back in that same fucking tank in the same damn desert. As real as the room around him. Fuck. Not this shit again. Get it together, man. As his pulse re-entered the atmosphere, he let out a groan, rolling to check the alarm. Great. 3:30 in the morning. Yay. No sense in going back to bed now. Usually takes a few minutes to get the heart rate back down. It was a losing battle, he knew all too well. The nightlight in the bath provided a faint glow to pierce the room, just enough for him to find the switch. The crackle of his joints bounced off the undecorated walls. There at his feet lay Nana's chest, the letter, and the book. He'd stared at them until going blue in the face the night before, asking himself the questions that made the least sense. Why be cryptic about your past if you were going to leave a freaking mystery to solve on purpose? Why not just tell him herself? Why all the damn theatrics and cloak and dagger? A slight knot formed in his stomach at the thought. Begrudgingly, Erik rocked himself to his feet, stumbling in the direction of the small kitchen and living. If he had to do it all over, he would have made the doorways a few inches wider. A few bruises and one set of stitches later, lessons were learned and mistakes had been noted. Right now, he had 5 hours to kill before heading into town, so a pot or two of coffee and some fresh eggs were all that mattered. A few hours later, the sun teased the horizon with an orange pre-dawn glow. His fourth cup of coffee in hand and still in his favorite olive drab sweats, he lost himself in the methodical battle of day swallowing the night. Erik smiled, moving the empty plate of fresh veggie omelet as he took another sip. It was his favorite part of his time in the Corps, waking up before the rest of the world, achieving more before 8 than most did in a day. There was something about the stillness that soothed him, and about the way the night sky seemed impossible to defeat immediately before the first shreds of twilight. If his sleep had become his tormentor, then the morning had become his peace. He went about his chores, feeding the chickens and checking for missed eggs before he made a cursory pass through the garden for any hidden late-season cukes or tomatoes. Idle hands are the devil's playground, he thought. Looking to his already dirtied hands, his bounty secured, he returned to the house to ready for the day. Usually he'd hop in the truck as is, but a little something extra compelled him to try a little harder this time. In no time, he barreled down the driveway dressed in clean jeans and a mostly clean shirt. Good enough, Erik, you slob. Beside him sat the items left by Nana. Try as he might, he kept catching himself analyzing the finely crafted chest. Sure, he could have just cut it open with a torch, or used a pry bar, but defiling it didn't seem quite right, especially when he already knew the elegant solution existed a mere 10 miles away. That's not all that's 10 miles away, Erik. His inner voice goaded him with intrusive thoughts. Nope, not doing this. Not today. Stay on task. The old Ford plodded along, windows down as he preferred. The late summer, early morning chill worked in concert with the caffeine overdose to bring all the senses fully online. Old Appalachia fiddles and mandolins dueled through the AM radio, interrupted only by the local crop reports every few minutes. Not a bad life, Erik. Not bad at all. Clunk! The truck chugged once, almost causing him to lose control. Oh, please, not today. Please, no, Gertrude. Then it sputtered and shut off completely. Ah, come on. The morning was going so good. With no other option, he craned the steering wheel manually and mashed on the dead brakes, pulling carefully off the shoulderless road. The worst was over, and he gave the wheel a few smacks of the hand as the old shitbox gradually came to a stop. Seems about right. Letting out a sigh, he popped the hood and exited the truck. Upon first inspection, nothing appeared to be out of place. No smoke, no obvious disconnections. Well, shit. That means it's probably out of his wheelhouse. Everything outside or connected to the engine he could fix with some time, but if the internals were bad, the soles of his shoes were soon to follow. Cussing the situation, he gathered his things and locked up, resigning himself for 3 or 4 miles that remained. If he'd bothered to keep up with the newest technology, a simple call to the local wrecker would suffice. But no, he had to buck the trend and avoid getting one of the new Nokias like everyone else. Trading privacy for convenience never seemed like a fair trade. A mile in, he surmised it wasn't the walking he disliked, but the awkward chest and the items under his arm. The marching he could handle. Hell, it was even therapeutic to get lost in the rhythm of heel-toe, heel-toe. Come to think of it, he was surprised another local hadn't passed him by now. As he had the thought, the sound of a well-maintained engine grew from behind. Finally! He backpedaled and offered a thumb. The white Mustang flew past, top down. Oh well, maybe the next one. Dejected, he dropped his arm and returned to his trudge. Suddenly, the Mustang hammered the brakes, screeching to a halt a few hundred feet down the road. Not wanting to waste his luck, he trotted up alongside. Need a ride, Erik? The woman was dressed for golf or tennis, hiding her eyes behind large sunglasses. Yeah, please. Wait. Josie? He squinted at her, opening the door. In the flesh. How long has it been? 3 years? She raised her shades, giving him a smile. 2, I think. Wow. You look, well. His pulse quickened at the intrusive rush of memories. How have you been? I thought you moved to D.C. Not too bad. And I did. But I got tired of the politics. And before you say it, I know it's cliché, Erik. She took her eyes off the road, giving him a wink. Well, you know what they say about clichés? What? They're usually true. You're not wrong, she said, hammering down on the accelerator, bringing the 5.0 to life. He laughed as the acceleration pushed him further into his seat. I see some things never change, Josie. You're one to talk. You haven't changed a bit, have you? I bet you're still holed up in your quaint little fortress of solitude, aren't you? He wanted to snap a comeback, but there was no sense in arguing with the truth. You'd know from first-hand experience, I'm doing the world a favor. An uneasiness crept within. He needed to change the subject, and fast. So, nice wheels, Jojo. It suits you to a T. Leave it to you to use a nickname to distract from changing the subject. She shot him a stern look. Crap. He knew where this would lead. I'll give you credit, though. At least you're consistent. God help the woman who finally cracks that rock-hard exterior of yours, Erik. We both know I tried, and all I got was a calloused heart for the trouble. And there it is, daggers of truth right to the stomach. I'm sorry about back then. I really am. You didn't deserve that. No one does. He couldn't muster the nerve to even look at her. Don't apologize now, shithead. It's in the past. I got what I deserved. I try to save others. It's a curse of my character. Besides, we had some fun, didn't we? It wasn't all bad. He smiled at her admission. Yeah, we did have some good times. That is, when I wasn't keeping you at arm's length. Hell, if nothing else, you were the wake-up call I needed. She brushed her wind-blown hair from her face, studying his. What's that supposed to mean? He didn't know how to put this, so he opted for a part of the truth. I realized that if I couldn't ope up with someone as great as you, then there was no sense in trying anymore. No reason to keep going through the motions, hoping I'd be compelled to change. It hurt to say the words aloud, but helped with the obnoxious feeling in his stomach. Damn, Erik, it's nice to hear, but that is a sad way to see the world. Maybe, but if it saves others from undue pain, so be it. It's the least I could do. If you say so. Valestown swelled in the distance, its historic church steeple and clock tower eclipsing the treetops less than a mile away. I was thinking, you want to grab some breakfast? My treat. I'll have to take a rain check. Sorry, I have some business to tend to this morning, or else I would. Okay, have it your way. I've got tennis at the park in half an hour anyway, but I will take you up on that rain check sometime. You should. It'd be nice to catch up. Deal. So where should I drop you? Just up here at Teddy's Antiques. I'm having some of my Nana's stuff looked at by Mr. Grimsby and his daughter. I nearly forgot. I was shocked when my dad told me the news. Those two loved their old stuff, that's for sure. She whipped the Mustang into the parking spot along the front of the shop. She offered him a saddened smile. I should have called. I'm sorry. I picked up the phone 10 different times, but I just chickened out. I didn't know what to say. It's okay, really. I appreciate the ride, and oddly enough, it was good to see you again, Jojo. He negotiated the door, things in hand. You know, Erik, it doesn't have to be odd. Not if you don't want it to. She gave him a grin, lowered her glasses, and sped off faster than a normal adult should. With a sigh, he made for the door with a million things on his mind.